Welcome to Hustle Beyond Limits. It's your girls Christine and Vanessa hooking you up with what you need to know to level up.
Hope you guys are having an awesome 2019 so far. Vanessa and I are now back from traveling the Philippines and Brazil for the past few months, and we're so excited to be back to our regular programming. 2019 has been incredible for Vanessa and I so far, and the theme seems to be following our passion for 2019.
So today we have a very special episode for you, and that is one of our bestest friends. She's going to talk to us about following her passions and how she got into that, but also how she's able to live her dreams and her aspirations. Drum roll, please. Janet Nguyen.
Hi, everyone.
Perfect. So Janet here is going to be talking about herself, but before we get into that, we're going to ask you the Hustle Beyond Limits way with 3 questions.
Okay.
Number 1, what are your book smarts?
I was in school for a really long time. I have 2 degrees. My first degree was in social science. After that, I moved into nursing. Once I completed nursing, I got my designation as a registered nurse. I've been working as a registered nurse for 7 years now. As if that wasn't enough, I did another formal training, about another year formal training in jewelry.
Awesome. Very unique. Our second question is, what are your street smarts or your hidden talents?
So I think street smart kind of refers to how a person responds to a given situation. So it could be if you're, traveling, everyday work. And for me, I think a lot of my street smart comes from nursing, believe it or not. Because in nursing, you're required to do a lot of observing and catching little details before they can turn into something bad. So I feel like that transfer over to real life where I'm really observant of the situation and I'm able to kind of respond in a way that tries to meet the best possible outcome for the situation.
Nice. Awesome. And our last question is, what does hustle mean to you?
So I think hustle means believing in something and you're willing to kind of work hard and kind of go through a grind for it. And the reason why I'm saying willing is because you have to be willing to, get up after every failure. Any doubt that you have to get past that. Anything that doesn't even, if it turns out the way that you don't want it to turn, the outcome of it, you're still willing to get past that because you truly believe that what it is that you're doing was really meant for you.
That's so good. So let's talk about your side hustle. So you're a registered nurse, but you also have a side hustle as a jewelry maker. Tell us about that. When and how did it all begin?
Okay, so it actually started a really long time ago. I started with just liking to make things. I was probably the do-it-yourself queen. Anything that I wanted to make, I made it myself.
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy it, not because I didn't want to spend money, but it was just that I wanted to just make it. And then fast forward until when I got into nursing, my friend Amy and I in nursing school, we had a really hard time with nursing. Not that we didn't believe in it, but we just had a really hard time in it because of the amount of kind of abuse that comes with nursing. And during that time, we were just hey, what should we do, right? And my friend was I wish we can do something creative, like jewelry making. So we're hey, that's a really good idea, but we never really did very much with it. Fast forward to graduation, working 3 years afterwards, I had this really strong, undying feeling that, I was meant to do something different and that I really needed to grow. So I booked a trip to Asia, and while I was in Asia, the strangest thing was the same recurrent theme of jewelry kept coming up. There's people who are making jewelry talking about it. There's people who are selling jewelry and talking about it. And throughout the whole trip, I kept asking myself, I can do that. Or sorry, not asking myself. I was saying hey, I can do that to myself over and over again. And by the end of the trip, I was why do I keep saying I can do that when, why not do it? So while I was flying back from Asia, I had a really long layover in Shanghai. And during that 8-hour layover, I was why not apply? Just give it a shot. So I applied, and 3 days later, I was so lucky because someone had, withdrawn their application to the jewelry school, and then I got accepted in, and yeah, that's how it all started. So
Nice. Wow. That's so good.
So can you tell us more about your creative process and how you approach it?
So creativity to me starts pretty much whenever I'm not in the hospital working on my day off. The creative process actually starts from the beginning to the end. So let's say if I'm interested in, like I have a concept in my head, I'll draw it out, let's say 10 different ways, different, like little bit subtle changes in it, and I'll pick the one that resonates the most with me. And then while I make it, during the time that I'm making it, if all of a sudden something just kind of pops in my head and I'm like, hey, it might look better with this detail in it, or if I change this, I'll actually change it, and then the creative process kind of takes a momentum kind of type flow to it, where it kind of just builds as I kind of work on the piece and the jewelry.
All right, Janet, so what inspiration do you draw from, and what best describes your stuff?
So I draw a lot on kind of like vintage inspired, like antique inspired books. And the reason why there's just something about it that I absolutely love, and I think it's the amount of detail that's put into the jewelry. So if you look at a jewelry or a piece that was from back in the day, there's a lot more kind of like detail in it. And I draw a lot from, I guess, somewhat nature, and I try to combine vintage antique with a little bit of nature in there. So I like a lot of like detail in my jewelry because I feel like that gives a lot of character to the piece of jewelry that I'm making for someone.
Yeah, that's true. So what's your advice for us who are either having a hard time finding what we're passionate about, or for those of us who are looking to actually follow our passion?
I think the first thing is not to be so hard on yourself if you don't like know what your passion is, or if you don't know what it is that you love doing. It's kind of all of it's like a discovery process. So if you ask me, hey, like, are you passionate about jewelry? I'm probably gonna say no, because what I'm actually passionate about is making things, creating things that have not been created before, right? I love making something with a lot of intention and purpose in the piece and being able to give it to someone because it has a lot of meaning to it. So I didn't start off knowing right away that jewelry was for me. I started off just by liking to do things and making things. And I feel like if someone wants to know what their passion is or discover it, the first thing is take action on it, right? Every accomplishment starts off with something really small. So if you are interested in something, if you're curious about something, or you kind of even like something, the first action is, maybe look into it, right? Look to see if there's a class on it or more information on it, and even give it a try, right? You never know what that path or that door will lead you to, and that's the reason why starting small is so important, because if you automatically shut it out and you're like, why would I do that? Like, that's not going to lead anywhere. You're never going to have the opportunity for other doors to open up in the future. And it all starts with just trying and not being afraid of trying. Don't even let that doubt inside of you, or doubt from other people being like, what makes you want to do it, or like, you're not even good enough, because you don't know it until you do it, and you can always prove yourself wrong. That little voice inside of you that's saying you can't do it, well, guess what, you can. It's just a matter of fact of just trying and keep on trying.
That's really great advice, and I think when it comes down to it, it's the first step is always the hardest.
Oh yeah.
And so, but once you take that first step, you have momentum, and then you know your answer, if you love it, if you hate it, but at least you know at the end of the day. So that brings me to kind of like our last question, and that's kind of, what is your motto? What are your like words of wisdom, or what kind of mantra do you kind of live by?
I think it's really similar to what I kind of expressed in the last question. I think it really is getting past doubt and fear. We're all gonna have doubts. We're all gonna have fears. We're just human, right? But it's the willingness and the courage to kind of get past that, because there always gonna be time when you're making something or doing something, and you're always gonna question yourself, or other people are gonna question you. And it's very important to get past that, even on people's opinion, even if they mean a lot to you, because the thing is that whenever someone says maybe like, oh, you can't do that or something like that, it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't believe in you, but it's that they don't see it in their lives for themselves. So if they can't see it for themselves, like me packing up and moving for no good reason, like wanting to start something that was crazy, right? If they can't see it for themselves, they won't see it for you. And it's nothing like offensive to like them thinking that you can't do it. It's just that they just don't see it, so they can't imagine it. But if you see it for yourself, just believe in that and just go and do it, right? And if you doubt yourself, then the best thing to get rid of that doubt is by trying and trying, because remember that you're the only person that can determine whether or not you can actually do it. Right?
That's
So
true.
prove yourself wrong if you have any doubt there inside.
So good. I'm so inspired. So good.
I actually had a lot of inspirations from my friends too and my family. So the toughest part, you know, like you guys came to visit me, and making Vanessa's ring was a really big challenge for me as well too. Even I doubted myself. I was just telling her, I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. And she's like, no, I believe in you. And she just kept pushing for it. And guess what, guys? In the end, I did make it.
And
So-
it's so beautiful.
It's so you guys have to check out her website or her Instagram,
yeah.
and look at the picture, because it's so beautiful. And when she says, like, she puts a lot of intention and love and thought into it, she really does. And I couldn't be like happier with what she's made. And I'm and through the post, she's like, I don't know if I can do it. I'm like, like, yes you can, you can, she can do it.
I'm not immune from doubt, right? Either myself, but like I said, it's just really pushing through that and having good support, as well as having the courage yourself to push through it as well.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Before we let you go, how can our viewers get in touch with you?
So you can find me on Instagram at Soulbox Jewelry. Shoot me a DM, and I would love to answer your questions for you, or even help inspire you if you need to, right? We can all kind of work towards this journey together.
Great.
So there you have it. We hope you really enjoyed this month's episode on following your passion and living your dreams with Janet from Soulbox Jewelry. She is really intentional with the way she lives her life, so not only does it translate to her professional life as a registered nurse taking care of people, but as well as the intention and love she puts into her jewelry, she applies it in her personal life as well.
Yeah.
So there you have it. We hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you next month for next month's episode. And with that,
We out!